So we have to understand what currency is. The promises that we make to each other. That's what currency is, the promises that we make to each other based upon the resources that we're able to get. And of course, if you don't get any resources, if the resources are scarce, the currency, it takes more money because there's less resources, and to get what little bit there is, then we have to have more money for that. And so your ability to get something else goes down. And so anyway, we have to actually accept the idea that life has changed. It's not going to be the way it was anymore. Life has changed, and that means that the children who desperately want to be exactly the way their parents are, and I want to play the game, and I want to get everything, and I want, and I need a whole mansion, and I want yachts, and I want helicopters, or whatever the hell it is. They can't do it anymore, and they won't do it anymore because that has passed. There's no longer a resource base that allows for that. There's no longer a possibility that you can do any of that. And they're all going to hate me for that because it's true. And of course, that's what people do. If you want somebody, or the history proves that what you do is you ridicule your enemy. You find something to ridicule them about. And once you have ridiculed them enough to make believers out of the rest of them, then you can go ahead and kill them or create war against them because, they're the enemy. We all understand they're the enemy, the enemy, the enemy. And if we kill the enemy, then of course, then we're free. But that's not true of life. The American Indian was not the enemy. You made him the enemy, or people made him the enemy. But that was not my doing. It wasn't your doing, just like slavery. You weren't slaves. I wasn't a slave. I wasn't the person who killed the Indian. There's none of that. The children are not responsible for what their parents did. And the end result of it, of course, is that we are inheritors of what our parents did, and they sacrificed their life for that. And murderers are murderers in eternity. So on and so on. The price that you believe they paid, they didn't begin to pay. But that's a whole other issue. The deal is that with currency, we have to have a currency level that is appropriate for the amount of people that are in a nation. We have to make it a constitutional law so that those who are hired employees cannot just simply counterfeit currency and create whatever they want. We have to have rules and realities and constitutional commandments that say, no, you cannot create debts for us beyond this amount or that amount, and only if we are actually understanding the amount of money we are going to pay. And that doesn't mean that people who can come in across the line, so to speak, and vote for our, we have to pay this for them, and then they leave. That doesn't work out. Only the people who actually are going to pay the bill get to be the voter. So the end result of it is that we actually have to divide our lives and our currency into what we can work with. And because we have less resources than at any other point in the history of this world, we have less resources available to us. We have less resources and more pollution and more problems of every kind due to university involvement, due to no consequences for us. Fantasies, delusions, and imagination. And of course that all comes down to the universe says, all you have to do is learn one tiny little thing. That's all you have to do. Just learn one tiny little thing, and then you can be employed for that. And of course that's what they do. Because in the end, if you only know one tiny little thing, then you can't be involved in the big things that identify what it is that these tiny few experts at the top are doing. You're just a cog in the wheel of the machine, and you don't know what the big picture is because you're not taught to be the big picture. You're just taught to be the little cog wheel, the little switch that they control. So we need to fix that entirely. 10,000 different things that need to be fixed. And no, I don't want to do it. It's your job. So anyway, as far as currency goes, in order to distribute the food and the water that we absolutely need to survive, hopefully we'll stop with the oxygen consumption so that we can breathe. But if not, that's something that we'll just die with. But we can't, if you won't, we're done. But we can choose water and food as to be distributed equally, and we do that by making only a certain amount of currency is available for food and for water. That's all you get to buy with this particular kind of currency, and that makes it, and we all get a same amount for our work. 25% of your work is for food or water or whatever it is that you decide. This is the amount of money that you get, and it'll only buy food. You can't be rich and get more of this particular currency because it is not allowed. In other words, we all have the same amount of money to buy the same amount of food per person. You can take your pick about what you want to buy, or you can even sell what you have for food, dollars, or whatever it is. But we're going to distribute it equally because that's the future. We're going to starve if you don't. So we have to create a currency. Let's just call it the green currency. Why not? And then we have the red currency for housing or whatever it is. It's just for housing for the things that you need other than food and water. And then there's the last, yellow. Let's call it yellow currency for the things about which society can do for you. So and these are local types of things. The money for food is not, but everything else is local. You can only use it here because the end result is you can't go immigrating somewhere else. You can't go immigrating somewhere else unless they allow you to do that. And if they don't allow you to do that, you can't go. We have to assemble ourselves into, just like it was in the past, only a tiny, tiny few get to go beyond their borders. Everybody else gets to build whatever it is they're going to build and sustain whatever there is that they're going to sustain, and work within the realities of what it is that they built or did not build for themselves. Because we are so many people today, literally one person standing on every acre of grazing and cropland in this world, which grows by 100 million more every year, more or less. We cannot afford, and the oceans are nearly tapped out and going to die if you don't start feeding them, and the only thing you have to feed them with is dead human bodies. We have plenty of those, and you have to grind them up, and you have to create them into fish food, one form or another, and you have to pull that fish food out into the ocean on barges that automatically feed them so that they're not confined to the pandemic of disease that's going to happen with aquaculture. There's, you can always pick them up with trawlers later. If you don't stop destroying the world will be destroyed. It's a living world. And a living world can die because it's a living world. A living world, and a living anything can die. And you are, of course, destroying everything that's required for you to live. Your temperature is rising across the planet 1 degree, and all life will die. You're going to hide in your air conditioning and say, you can't touch me. But the end result is that your air conditioning causes global warming, a big, big portion of it. And when you no longer can survive where you are, you have to immigrate to somewhere else, which will not have water for you, which will not have food for you, which will not be able to survive you. And so we all have to live within our own little parameter of this is our world now. And I know you don't want to. But this is our world now because this is what you chose. This is what you chose. You can go ahead and go look it up. Look and see how much cropland, look and see how much grazing land, look and see, and the fact of the matter is that we do have to eat livestock. It doesn't matter, and the rule of livestock is, if you're a farmer, the rule of livestock is don't pet the critters that you're raising for food. Don't get attached to them because then it's too hard to let them go to the slaughterhouse. It's too hard. Don't do it. Stay away from them, even if they want to be friends. Don't do it because it makes it very hard to send them off to the slaughterhouse. And that's the end result of it, is there's predators and there's prey in this world, and that's a fact of life. Whether you like it or not, whether you think it's fair or not, doesn't make any difference. It's a fact of life, and the truth of the matter is that humanity would not have come this far without animals to eat, because we can't eat everything that the planet grows, and we need something else to eat it first so that we can eat them. And they need us to protect them from other predators and so on. So in exchange for a better life for a couple years or whatever it is, they then get to be eaten. Basically like every other life, because all of life is like that. When you get old, you fall down and the predators come and clean you up. So you need to understand the basis of life. And of course, cropland, you can't irrigate everything. There isn't any water for that. You can't create ethanol for your cars. There isn't any water for that. You can't poison everything on earth. There isn't any water for that. You can't do 10,000 things that people do, which the university led you to do. And the university does have a place in life, but it is not the place that they are right now. They are, in fact, the creators of hell, because the end result of adding chaos to nature is all of nature. Everything we depend upon will die. Everything we depend upon will be mutilated. Everything that we depend upon, everything that life is today, will be lost to the tragedy and the disgrace of humans who played God. But we're only Satan. And of course, if you don't stop the people who are trying to ignite the same fire as is on the sun here on earth, you're going to be incinerated. It's the same fire. It's burning atoms. That's what it does. It burns atoms. It burns the bond in atoms. I can explain it to you, but what for? But the end result is that if you ignite it here, it's a self-sustaining plasma, and it will self-sustain. Million-mile long flame. It'll even go past, it's four times further than the moon is to the earth, which means that you're going to ignite the moon on fire too. That's what it means. It means that you're going to ignite the moon on fire too, and the moon will then be a raging, flaming orb that crashes into the earth because the gravity will pull it in. Because, the separation of an atom is a separation of the things that push out the energy it pushes out, and to contain that energy so that it remains this time in a position, you have to have an opposite energy that holds it in balance. So the opposite energy that holds it in balance is the solar gravity that will pull the moon into this earth. Not that you'll care, because once you have ignited that flame, it will eject the atmosphere entirely, and you'll die. But then, you're going to die because you were a fool. Because you believed that the university was somehow a god that you could depend upon to keep you alive. But the fact of the matter is they can't keep you alive, and even if they could add a day or two to your life, so what? Eternity is coming for you, and that's thousands of years, not minutes of life or in time. Or, millions of years. Who knows how long it is. But anyway, truth will decide what eternity is. Just as you are deciding whether or not your world will be exterminated or not. You are deciding today. Reality is deciding today if you will be extinct or not. And that means in the very, 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 very near future. Because you have gone too far. You're trying to ignite the planet on fire. You're mutilating all of nature, poisoning everything, failing everything.